Welcome back to On the Brink. I'm Rosemary. I'm the host of this podcast, and today will be another in one of a series of we're in a state of denial about what's coming next month, about the whole horror. We're in denial. We're not talking about anything heavy like that today. But I thought that in light of the holiday parties coming up, New Year's Eve celebration and all that, dating would be a good topic. I have picked two veterans of that battlefront with me. They're from different generations, so this should be interesting. And I will point out that they are both women. I'm not excluding men from this discussion, but we're gonna do it like we did the abortion debates with two separate panels. One with women, that's today, and one with men, that'll come up later on. So they'll get a chance to answer back. First meet Kris Antonelli. Kris and I worked together as reporters at the Baltimore Sun like a billion years ago. She continues to be a freelance writer. Her stuff has been everywhere. You're also a literacy tutor, which I think is interesting too. That's the second job. And the second person is Emily Robbins. Emily is in several of my, you're almost a groupie, Emily. You've been in so many of my classes. And she, as a final assignment last semester, had to do a podcast similar to this. So she's an experienced podcaster, and her topic was toxic relationships. So I knew from that she was the girl for this podcast. So, okay, I'm warning you that sometime, not right now, I'm going to give you time to think. I am going to ask about your best and your worst dates. So, but let's start off with something easier, okay? How do we feel about online dating? Harmony.com, Match.com, Tinder, do they work? Is it a good idea or not?
I think it works for some people. I found the whole experience, Match, eHarmony, and whatever, silver singles for allegedly mature women and men. It's too much like a job interview. I don't know. And maybe it's because I was going on job interviews at the same time, but I'm just like, I'd show up, try to look my best, and I don't know. Is something supposed to happen?
How about you, Emily? Have you ever delved into these online worlds of dating?
Unfortunately, I have. I don't know. I feel like people just use it to hook up, as we were talking about earlier. I feel like with the younger generation, that's what they use it for. They don't really use it to find actual connections with people. So it's kind of...
They use it for sex?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I had good experience with it, but it was an accident. I was divorced, didn't want anything to do with men. My kids were accusing me of being perhaps gay, that I wasn't seeing anybody. So I went out with two other professors at UAlbany, and they told hilarious stories about their dating. So I said, this would make a great modern romance story. You know that feature, Kris, that's in the New York Times? And I said, I'm going to do research and write one of these columns. So I took a 1-month membership and I signed up and I wrote this profile that was like, I want someone just like me. I don't want anyone needy. I don't want anyone who's, don't make any demands on me. Just go along with everything I say. Think like I do. It was ridiculous. And I got a number of dates. One was the most horrible date of my whole life. The guy sat looking at his watch the whole time we were drinking one glass of Pinot, and then he fled. That was terrible. But then I got a note from this very sweet man. He was a widower, and a musician. And that was 15 years ago. We're still going out. So I didn't do the article. How could I? Because it didn't have a funny ending. It had a happy ending. I hate happy endings. But in my personal life, I don't think I ever would have met this guy otherwise. So I'm sort of a commercial for Match.com, aren't I?
Yeah, you are. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I would go on these things and meet them, and sometimes like I said, am I supposed to feel something? Are they supposed to? I mean, and a lot of times they didn't want to even do anything fun. And one of my male friends who did find someone through eHarmony said that the woman he's been dating now for a year, her phrase was, they either want a nurse or a purse.
Okay, Emily, pay attention to your elders here. This is what happens when you date in your later years. Kris and I should say, are both divorced, so this is like
Yeah.
we came back to dating after a long time not having to deal with this. You have had a bad experience, Emily. This was the subject of your podcast in class, and you wrote about toxic relationships. Tell us a little bit about that, without going into all the personal details.
Yeah. Well, I actually did meet him on a dating app, so maybe that's
there it is. There's the
dating
lesson.
apps now. Just like about like why it was toxic is what you're asking?
Yeah. How did you know it was when you liked him at first?
Yeah, I didn't know it was toxic while I was in it. I feel like that's the case for most people. Like you kind of just accept what they give you at that time. But like once you break up, like you kind of have like that breakup clarity where you kind of think of everything that they did and you're like, wait, like this wasn't right. Like I shouldn't have let this happen. I shouldn't have let this slide. So I feel like it was definitely like me talking about it with other people kind of made me realize that like it was toxic.
That it was bad the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds like a marriage.
Yeah, a marriage can turn out to be toxic. This is true, and as well as relationships. So Emily, I feel for you, but now you know what to look out for.
I do.
So Kris, when you went back, when you're divorced now, you've been, of course, in a very long-term relationship, you have a son, and you decide to go back out. What did you have to do to prepare yourself for dating again?
Well, I thought it was simple. Here, put up a nice, selfie. Write something short and sweet. I don't have pictures of myself. I don't have the paparazzi following me around all day long, taking pictures of me doing whatever. At least not recent ones. So, I have my sister take some pictures of me cooking, reading. I don't know, but with my dog. What do you want from me? Yeah, that's my action right now. And the men, their pictures would always be of either in their car or, this cracked me up, it was so true, in the bathroom in front of the mirror. They'd be holding the phone, and taking the what is it about their cars in the bathroom? So that's basically how I did it. And when I met them, I made sure I had some makeup on it. I didn't dress like sexy or anything. I'm over that, just, regular, a nice outfit. And you'd be lucky though if you got a cup of coffee, they didn't want to do anything fun. I was like,
did you have to, did either of you in dating, do you have any like bare minimums? Like I'll give you an example. For me, if they wrote on an app that they loved long walks on the beach, they were automatically eliminated. That was so unoriginal and stupid. No walks on the beach. And they had to have all of their teeth. They didn't have to be natural teeth. Bridges were okay, but they had to have a full mouth, and they had to have all their limbs. No amputees. These were, there's no reason for that. It's just, my bottom line. Do you have anything similar?
Well, first of all, if you're anybody who said partner in crime, okay, give me a break. That's so, everybody wrote, I want to meet my partner in crime. Oh, please, whatever. And also, yes, we need to have hair, and we need to be tall. We need to be taller than me, and we need to not be living with, I don't know, some random person. Or do you have a life? Like, it's hard to say. I guess I'll know it when I see it. But I try to move out of my comfort zone too. Different, Yeah. So, and just not look for the same type.
No, the worst date I ever had, I told you I was going to ask you guys this, but you reminded me. I was fixed up by someone, a friend said, oh, I have this guy, we've been friends for years. He's got a boat. He's exciting. He's interesting. I think you would really like him. And on paper, man, that looked great. So I go to meet him, and in walks what could have been my ex-husband's brother, his twin brother, possibly. And his same bald head. Oh my God. It was a disaster after that. I was unable to speak or relate to anything. So that was the worst date of my life. It did not work out. We did not even become friends after that. It was just get out of here. How about you?
Well, all right, the worst. I guess one of the worst was, and I had hope for this one. So, but he came from the West Coast. He was like chief of detectives, LAPD police, and we talked on the phone about Bosch, one of my favorite shows, and and he seemed to, we got along really well. So we met like the next day at, a neighborhood, margarita place, and but anyway, but yes, he takes his hat off and he's bald. Okay, pretty much. And it's just so I'm like, okay, be nice, like I can sit through anything and be polite but no. So we're at the end of the bar, and it was like during March Madness, and so somehow he starts watching this basketball game where there's like some underling team. He stops talking to me. He's enthralled with this basketball team that's on the TV above the bar, and goes, "Oh, it's been years since I watched basketball." And I'm like thinking to myself, "Oh, and you have to do it now?" And then he asked me if I live in a house or an apartment. Do I buy? Do I rent? And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I have an apartment." And he goes, "Well, where's your money for the house? From the house?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, and he goes, "You have a good job, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but where's the money from the house?" And I just didn't answer. And I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, leave now. But I was polite.
That's a pretty big red flag.
I'm like, complete loser, But that was one of the worst, I suppose, But I don't know what my point was with all this, but yeah, nerves are a purse,
Worst state ever. All right, yeah. Emily, let's go back to UAlbany student Emily Robbins. You're telling us if you have any bare minimums that the guy has to measure up at least to this thing, or it doesn't even start, and the worst date you ever had.
Okay, the bare minimums, you just have to be taller than me. Like, that's honestly it.
Oh yeah, I used to have one that your thighs had to be bigger than mine. I'm not going out with someone who's littler than I am. I'm like short. No, you have to be bigger than me.
Yeah, you have to be taller. Okay. Open the door for me, just so politeness. That's honestly all my bare minimums. Mm-hmm. My first date, the worst date I've ever been on, not as bad as Kris's, but it was my first date ever. I was younger. I don't know how old I was, but we met up at this park. Automatically, I don't know what I was doing, but we got into his car, and then he was like, "Do you want to get in the back seat?" And I was like, "No."
Oh my gosh.
But I got in the back seat, and then we started watching a movie. And then I texted my friend, "You need to call me right now and make up an excuse." And so then my friend called me and told me her grandma had a stroke, and I had to go drive her to the hospital.
So that was oh my God, that's terrible. Let me switch this around. Maybe you've been on it, maybe not. But what would be your dream date? The perfect evening out. I'm not talking about sex here. That's a whole different topic. I'm talking about the perfect date. And I think for me, it would be a surprise, wear X, shorts or casual or dress up, and meet me at this time. And I don't know what's going to go on. It's a fabulous evening. Alcohol would have to be involved. Food would be involved, and travel would be nice, or an outing, something that I did not have to plan, that I would have nothing to do to arrange. I don't want to do the logistics all the time. That's my dream date. Kris, how about you?
My dream date would be, yes, let's have a nice dinner. Yeah, preferably Italian, and because I do make it plain in my profile that I am Italian and I like food and cooking and wine and the New York Times. So let's try to do something, but a nice dinner, some good conversation, some nice wine. It doesn't have to be at some uber expensive place, but just chill, do something, besides like meet for coffee or take a quick walk, or like, don't make me feel like I'm squeezed into your schedule. So yeah, and like take time to be interested and talk to, but
yeah, when they ask questions about you.
Low, you don't, that's it. Yeah. And I don't want to plan it. Is this difficult? No.
No, it isn't. That seems pretty easy. Pretty easy indeed. How about you, Emily? What would be a dream date for someone much younger than Kris or I?
Personally, me, I like going out and like doing things. So like we can go like ice skating or like, roller skating. Not something like fun, but like where you can also like talk to the other person. So it's not like a date. I hate movie dates because like you can't really talk during it.
Yeah,
but I would definitely say
it does take the pressure off though at the beginning when you don't know
it does. It definitely
what's safe to talk about. But all
But
right.
yeah, just something going on like a little adventure together. I feel like it's fun, but like for them to plan it first because I'm so bad at making decisions. Like I can't do that. So
Do you check them out online before you go out with them?
Do I check them out?
Check them out online. Kris, I should say, is a former police reporter. So when I say check them out to her, it's a whole different level.
Yeah, well, it's very simple to do these days. Well, there are services that for a very small amount a month and I won't give them advertising space here, but everyone knows what they are. That you can, if you get their last name, and do not go on any kind of date unless you have their last name, or at least what they claim is their last name, and what the phone number, the real phone number, as best as you can tell, and letting someone know where you are and the person's name and phone number. So that being said, you can check them out. Yeah. So have I done it? Yes, a few times. Not just if I'm going to meet for coffee, but if it's a date in the evening, I've given up on it. Maybe I should start back up. Sometimes I think that should be my New Year's resolution, but
yeah, to check. I have a sister with the absolute worst taste in men, a whole series of just disasters. And so the rest of us, the other sisters, have told her no more dating until they get past us. And two of us are investigative reporters. So we check them out, at least get them some basic facts so you know what you're dealing with, find out what they really look like, and
right, and it's easy you could just Google someone's name. I've done that, and
look up go ahead, look up their social media. Yeah,
exactly, and anything could pop up. But I don't. I feel like the bar is so. I don't ask for much. But men seem to be looking around, going, "What are you? What do you have? What do you do? Who are, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, oh my God, what? I just met you.
Yeah. How about you, Emily? Do you check them out carefully before you go, or do you just wing it?
Honestly, I go on the first date and then I start investigating them. I'll find their Instagram, I'll look them up, but it's normally after the first date. I don't know why. I probably should investigate them more before, just to make sure that they're not weird or a serial killer, but
the serial killer part, bankruptcies, I want to know, or if they look too good to be true, that always makes it's okay, where's the flaw here? Where's the thing that's wrong? So
oh yeah, that's a big one, Rosemary. Yeah, is if they look too perfect and too, and everything is like I said, I'm looking for my partner in crime, and walks on the beach, and I like wine. Oh no, you don't. You like beer and you want to sit in front of the TV. I know you. I'm sorry, Emily. I'm learning life for you, aren't I?
We're old and jaded. Don't pay too much attention to us.
No. I really want to hear what the men you have on your next podcast say, because maybe I am being mean. I try really hard to be nice. I can sit through anything, but what is happening here?
Yeah, I used to think it was just the reporter in me, but that if I was doing all the listening, I could be a very sympathetic listener. But how come you're not asking me anything about me? Even just one or two questions, I'll throw it back to you. But that's always, that's
right. And when they do ask, it's questions about money and why don't I own a house? It's none of your business. Why? Because I don't want to do any work. That's why.
Okay, we in planning for this, Emily and I talked about it, and it was in her podcast, her earlier podcast on dating about this. It's not new, I guess, but it's newly trending as something that people are talking about. And that is toxic masculinity. Boys now and men think it's cool to be like Neanderthal. And this trad wife condition, this what are they, traditional wives or
Yeah.
Mormon farm women, be submissive to your man. I'm having some trouble with this. I don't think I've ever been submissive. That's hard for me.
Really, Rosemary, you're having trouble with submissiveness?
With submissiveness, yes.
I am shocked.
But what am I missing here? What is there? Should we be concerned about this? Is this just some weird thing that Donald Trump has inspired? Be a big he-man and be mean to women, or is this something that we all have to be on the alert for?
Well, in my opinion, I would you're going to spot it, and obviously, grown-ups like us, and certainly you, Emily, too. Who wants that? That's so outdated. So I think it is a trend that started before Donald Trump and certainly hasn't been helped. So, and I've also read opinion pieces why men are in trouble these days. And Rosemary, you raised 3 boys. I raised 1.
Yeah, son too.
And I do notice that my son wants to be the leader, he says. And I'm like, okay. And I'll remind him, that, I always worked, and even when I wasn't full time, and I'll just gently remind him, should we be worried? I think it's a phase. And, when boys get out and boys/men get out into the world, there's women everywhere working. So deal with it, But who wants to be submissive? Not me, not happening.
I'm interested in what you're saying about this, Emily, because you're dealing with the cohort of boy men who they do feel threatened, and they're dropping out of college, and they're going into fields that used to be all women, and no man would ever go into, like, nursing and teaching. There is a difference, I feel. Do you have to coddle men?
I don't know. I feel like this has been the social media has definitely made men more prone to toxic masculinity, because there's things like podcasts, not trying to, talk badly about podcasts, but there's very toxic podcasts for men to talk about women.
Oh yeah. The Andrew Tate stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it's a phase. I feel like some people genuinely believe this, and some people are raised to have those beliefs and values, which is scary. But
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it's just getting worse with how social media is evolving too.
It is. You're right, Emily. I don't know. It does seem to be promoted by some women too, who, this whole traditional wife. I don't even what's a traditional wife. I don't know. My mother had me in 1963 before she was married. That was shocking then.
Oh yeah, she's a whore.
Yeah. Oh my God. And she's old for having her first child. She was 30. Oh yeah. You're doomed. But I mean, I didn't raise my son that way, but somehow I see a little bit of it in him. And I don't think he gets it from his father. I mean, I don't know. I'd like to think that it's a phase, that the pendulum always, swings the other way. You had 3 boys, Rosemary. Tell us what you think.
Well, my boys are, they push back, but they also, none of them have brought home traditional wives, girlfriends who are that way. I would, oh my gosh, I don't know what I do. I think that would be hard for me to deal with it. I don't even want to talk to somebody or date someone who has a different political idea than I do. But if you're not going to be a feminist, oh my God, how do you? I can't even communicate. So I spent some time yesterday looking up this Hannah Neeleman. She's a Mormon farm wife. She has 8 children, participates in beauty pageants because part of being a traditional wife is full makeup and hair coiffed all the time, bakes only from scratch, cooks every day from scratch, and that's what it is. And I feel like women of my generation spent our whole lives getting away from that was fine if you wanted to do it sometime or for part of your life, but you weren't wedded to it or nailed down to it. And now
Right.
I feel like it's a step backward. Well, I feel like all of the politics in the country are a step backward, and I don't feel like it's making anything great again, but that's a political discussion, not a dating discussion. No, men who want to dominate me, oh yeah, that's hard. That's really hard. Ugh.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, and you were asking earlier if I had a bare minimum. Yeah, that would definitely be one of them. You can't go around telling me what to do. And after being married, as long as I was too, and my ex really didn't when we were married, but I'm more sensitive to it now. Do not even try to
Yeah.
tell me what to do. So because now I'm just like, I'm not sharing. I'm done. You know.
One of my inspirations is my mother. Most of you know she's like
Mhm.
99 now, but when she went to work when we were kids, she went back to work. She was going crazy in the house with all these 5 girls running around. And one of the first things she bought with her own paycheck was a swimming pool in the backyard, an above ground pool. And after like 25 years or so, it wore out. It was no good, and it was going to come down. And my father was talking at a party and said, "Yeah, we're going to get rid of this pool. We're not going to put up anything again." And she was so incensed that this was her pool, bought with her money, that she wanted it for her kids, and he was taking over. That she called up that day and ordered a replacement pool. And to me, I just love that story. And
Yeah.
so you can see that I'm sort of like not a whole lot of men are going to want to date you if they're into domination.
I think that's why my mother took so long to find my father, actually. An Italian man who was very conservative, but she was 30 when they met, or 29 or something. And at that time, oh, you're an old maid. But my mother was, she did some traditional things like the baking and the school stuff, but she always worked.
Yeah,
And,
that's nice.
yeah, and so she was an example. Yeah, and she always told us, "Look, ladies, you have to take care of yourself too.
That's
The
true.
world is changing,
That
so
is true. Emily, how
Yeah.
about you? Is your mother at all an inspiration to how you conduct your dating life?
I don't want to talk bad about my mom, but like she's very much like a traditional housewife. Like she was a stay-at-home mom. Like I have like 3 other siblings, so she kind of just stayed at home and my dad went to work. But I don't really know. She didn't really like coach me for dating. Like she wasn't really that big of like an inspiration for me. Like I feel like I kind of learned it myself in a way, just from like my experiences and like my friends and the people that I surround myself with.
So it's more watching other girls your age, friends your age, rather than a parent. That's interesting. I think that's something of the newer generation too.
Mhm.
Well, for the final question, we have to take a look at the end of a relationship, breaking up. Any breakup stories or hints from either of you?
Well,
Emily, Kris. Okay, you're
sorry.
ready. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I
Jump
was
in.
just going to say, since I rarely have gotten past date number 2, and then we blow each other off. I mean, or ghost each other is the word. I don't have any. So I want to hear from Emily, like how these things end. So.
I mean, in my case, it didn't end very well. I've only been in one relationship, and so I'm not that big on, relationships and stuff like that. But it did not end very well just because of the kind of person that he was. A lot of, verbal abuse at the end, and then I kind of just had to distance myself from him.
He was the guy who that you talked about in your podcast, who made
Yeah.
comments about your body and your smarts and things like that.
My personality, stuff like that. It was not very good. Yeah. So I kind of just had to like distance myself from him, try not to, it was really hard not to talk to him, like even after like things he said. Like you obviously still love that person and miss that person, but I think it's best to like go no contact and like not speak to them ever again, to like get over it
Yeah.
completely.
I stayed in a marriage way past its expiration date, so I'm not good at breakups. But one of the things I did enjoy, and this is mean, it was terrible. He didn't deserve this. Was I just decided this was not going to work, and so I just stopped calling or answering the phone. I had stuff at his house. I just left it. I don't care, and I loved it. It felt so good. I felt like a boy. It was terrible. Yeah.
Well, I can relate to that in a way. Well, back when I was probably around Emily's age, I had a very serious boyfriend and who broke up with me. And I was heartbroken. And though several years later, he was like, we were both he was a graduate student at Maryland and I was an undergrad. And we would get together. And I just went out with him once. And well, anyway, spent the night and we met this out. But you know what made me feel really powerful? While he was in the shower, I got up and left without saying goodbye or anything. And I remember driving my crappy little Vega, lime green Vega back to College Park on Route 1 going, I am woman, you are, I am Warren. See? And he was like so shocked, like there weren't cell phones then, but I felt, yes, you go, girl. But anyway, that just Emily reminded me of that. So
that is hilarious.
Yeah, and you did, yeah.
Guys listening to this, you can tell we women never get together and talk about dates, bad and good. We never do this, right? I want to tell my listeners that this will be the final podcast of season 3 of On the Break. I am not going to try to lure you all away from your turkey, ham, presents, drinks, whatever, on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. So we're going to be taking a break. We're going to come back in time for the inauguration. That will be our first. We'll be on the inauguration, or as I like to think of it, the start of the new dark ages. So happy holidays to all of you. And to end this, we always end with a toast. I've got coffee now. It's the middle of the day. It isn't at night as we're taping. But this is a toast to the courage and generosity of women who continue to date despite all the pitfalls and the discomfort and the kind of indignity that goes along with dating. And really, we do it for the continuation of the species. So what can you say? That's pretty great. Thank you, ladies, for being with me. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Rosemary. This was fun and the highlight of my day.
A good date.